Let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're unpacking what you could call mind and soul alchemy. It's this absolutely incredible secret relationship between our brains, our thoughts, and our emotional reality, all based on some truly fascinating research.
Imagine for a second just sitting quietly in a dark room. You're simply listening to your own heartbeat. And then it hits you. There is an entire tiny universe inside your skull, quietly shaping literally every single thought and emotion you have. But here's the big question, right? Why does that mind so often just automatically drift toward the negative? We sit there, we criticize ourselves, and we wonder why our thoughts keep replaying past mistakes on this relentless, exhausting loop. Well, the material we're looking at today points out that in our 21st century landscape, this frustration is massively magnified by something called digital allostatic overload. We are constantly bombarded by high-velocity information, endless phone notifications, and just this relentless societal pressure to succeed. Falling into these constant mental defense modes actually reflects a deep existential fear of losing control. It's a primal longing to simply step away, to belong to a safe, quiet, and authentic space where your ego doesn't have to constantly perform. So how do we make peace with this silent internal architect?
Okay, let's dive into this. The sources we're exploring today suggest the answer requires a massive, and I mean a fundamental, shift in how we view ourselves. See, in modern society, we heavily intellectualize the mind. We treat the brain like it's a rigid, digital computer. And because of that, when we fall into loops of chronic worry or mental exhaustion, we immediately judge ourselves. We think we're faulty or fundamentally broken. But if we just strip away that mechanical lens for a moment, we uncover a deeply moving truth from the research. Actually, your brain is not a faulty computer. Not at all. Every wave of anxious overthinking is not a design flaw. It is the result of a highly sophisticated biological protector working around the clock, desperately fighting for your survival. To truly grasp this, the explainer points us to the absolutely groundbreaking research of Professor Lisa Feldman Barrett at Northeastern University. From a cognitive neuroscience perspective, the brain doesn't just sit there and passively react to the world. No, its evolutionary mission relies on what's called predictive processing and allostasis. What this basically means is that your brain is trapped inside a dark, silent skull. It has no windows. It is completely isolated from the outside world. To make sense of what you're experiencing right now, it relies entirely on your past memories and historical data to continuously simulate and predict what is about to happen in the very next second. It's literally trying to manage your survival budget before the event even occurs.
And here's where the research gets really fascinating. The brain uses these microsecond predictions to adjust your body budget. That means it allocates exactly the right amount of blood, oxygen, and metabolic hormones in anticipation of what it thinks you're going to need. Therefore, when a fearful thought crosses your mind and instantly triggers a racing heart or that awful tight knot in your stomach, you have to understand your mind isn't broken. Your brain is simply using old, unhealed data to construct a protective shield for you in real time. The sources frame this so powerfully. Your thoughts are not objective realities. They are defensive predictions, carefully woven by an incredibly overprotective nervous system that's just trying to keep you alive. And this brilliantly illustrates a metaphor the material offers to really visualize how this all works. Think of the connection between your brain and your thoughts as a grand ancient castle. And managing this castle is a fiercely loyal, deeply devoted housekeeper who, unfortunately, suffers from severe chronic anxiety. This housekeeper lives deep inside a foggy, isolated fortress. Remember, he cannot see the outside world at all. He has absolutely no idea what is actually happening outside the castle walls. To protect you, the beloved ruler of the castle, he relies solely on dusty, old records of every single time the castle was attacked in the past. Because of this extreme isolation, his defensive protocols are intense. The moment a scary thought crosses your mind, or honestly, even when your phone just vibrates with a stressful work email, this housekeeper doesn't see a modern inconvenience. He doesn't even know what an email is. He perceives an active jungle war zone. So what does he do? He instantly panics. He starts frantically bolting the windows, locking the heavy iron doors, and sounding literally every alarm he can find. That sudden wave of crushing anxiety, that physical tension in your chest, the rapid depletion of your happiness hormones causing mental fatigue, it is all his doing. But the research stresses, again and again, this is not a malfunction. He chooses this exhausting vigilance because he is absolutely terrified of lowering your guard for even a single second. The relentless digital noise of our era just keeps constantly triggering his alarms. You know, when you look at it this way, you start to feel this profound, almost existential compassion for yourself. That anxiety you feel, It is the raw, primal loyalty of that silent housekeeper inside your nervous system. He would honestly rather force you to live in the exhausting vigilance of old pain than risk letting you be vulnerable to a lethal threat. It is a clumsy, messy, but fiercely protective love. Your brain is only trying to love and protect you in the most primal, evolutionary way it knows how. Once you see your anxiety as misplaced, desperate protection from your own biology, you can finally stop fighting yourself.
But perhaps the absolute most empowering takeaway from all these sources is this. You are not permanently imprisoned by these old, painful scripts or by your overactive housekeeper. No way. Professor David Eagleman at Stanford University brilliantly coined the term live-wired to describe the human brain. Thanks to this miraculous mechanism we know as neuroplasticity, your brain is not static hardware. It's not a fixed machine. It is a deeply fluid, evolving, live-wired entity. It possesses this incredible, innate capacity to undergo profound self-healing and complete structural transformation simply through intentional thought and experience. Eagleman's research demonstrates that after every single intentional thought, every new perspective, and every deep act of conscious healing, the brain actually physically alters its own structure. It is actively dismantling those old traumatic neural highways and weaving entirely new, life-affirming pathways. The literature often compares the mind to a flowing river that never stays the same. It constantly reshapes its landscape based on the emotional nutrition you feed it each day. You are never, ever fundamentally stuck with your old patterns. Your nervous system possesses a brilliant capacity to literally rewire the whole shebang. So, the crucial point is, how do the experts suggest we actually calm this housekeeper down during a storm of overthinking? The material points to a highly practical step-by-step technique called the live-wired recovery, neurosomatic healing ritual. It's an amazing process derived from the research. First, whenever a storm of intrusive thoughts or mental exhaustion hits you, just pause. Second, the framework suggests placing a warm, loving hand directly over your heart and consciously drawing your awareness heavily down into your root chakra and solar plexus chakra. This anchors your energy and establishes a primal physical sense of safety. Third, you take a specific breath to activate your vagus nerve. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds, hold it gently for 4 seconds, and exhale for a slow, extended 8 seconds. This exact rhythm sends an immediate, undeniable biological code directly to your nervous system that the war is over. And then comes the final step. In that state of anchored breath, the practice involves gently whispering to your internal housekeeper. Speaking slowly and softly, you literally tell him, "Thank you for trying so hard to protect me, but I am completely safe right now. You can step down and rest." By doing this, the research highlights how you are actively guiding your brain to rewire its neural pathways. You are intentionally anchoring your awareness in a moment of peace, gratitude, and somatic safety, directly reshaping the physical biology of your brain through your own conscious intervention.
Now, obviously, you cannot change the historical archives written in your past, and you certainly can't completely turn off the digital noise of the modern world. But through structured mindfulness and this kind of consistent neurosomatic healing, you can absolutely retrain your silent protector. The sources invite us to visualize our entire neural network lighting up with the golden threads of unconditional self-love. You are literally transforming your brain from a hypervigilant, exhausted fortress of fear into a vast, liberated playground of spiritual freedom, wisdom, and authentic soul rebirth. You are taking back the castle. As we wrap up this explainer, the sources leave us with one final, truly provocative thought to use as a daily filter. It's the ultimate sovereign question. When the storms come, ask yourself, what peaceful material can I provide right now to help my brain rewire its neural pathways for joy? If you are learning to make peace with your thoughts, to comfort that anxious internal housekeeper, take a moment to reflect on your own journey today. Let us embrace the magnificent universes inside our minds, walk freely together, and share our stories.